I did see the film The Woman in Gold, and I thought it was very good. I think that Maria Altmann would be pleased with the performance of Helen Mirren, and Helen Mirren captures her sense of humor, her intelligence, her vitality, and I was impressed. I had spoken to some family members, the bloch-bauer Altmann family members, and they had seen the trailer and they were a little bit concerned, and I don't know how they feel now, but I was really, I thought it was a remarkable performance, and Reynolds, I think, plays Randy Schoenberg, and he does a good job too. I mean, the film is so much about their relationship, and clearly they had a very special relationship, and both were passionate about this quest to recover the bloch-bauer family property, and both were so committed. I mean, Randy was positively heroic, the way that he gave up his job at his law firm, at a larger law firm, to pursue the case, and he was tireless and did a really extraordinary job arguing the case all the way up to the Supreme Court. And Maria, I mean, she was just the right balance for Randy, so the film captures that. In the part of the film that is perhaps misleading, the audience gets a sense there's just one painting that they're concerned about, the Woman in Gold, the Golden Adela there. And actually there were 6 paintings that were claimed. There had been 7 paintings in the bloch-bauer collection in Vienna. One was clearly given by Adela's husband, widower Ferdinand, so that wasn't in dispute. So there were 6 paintings in dispute, and 5 were ultimately recovered. And so there's another 4 besides the Golden Adela, and they get lost in this picture. And I can understand that for storytelling, filmmaking reasons. You want to focus on this, you know, the most important of the paintings. But the other 4 works, their landscapes, are absolutely exquisite, and they sold for a lot of money too. I mean, all told, the 5 paintings sold for about $329 million. So 135 million was for the Golden Adela, and so there's the other paintings. I do think that the 6th painting should have been returned from Austria to the bloch-bauer heirs. The arbitration committee and then the subsequent Austrian government panel ruled to hold back one of them, and I think that was a mistake. Unequivocally, that was taken forcibly from the bloch-bauers and perhaps another family there. At a minimum, it should have been split. The proceeds should have been split. But the film is very good. My own role in the film, I was one of 2 experts. I think there were 2 of us. There was an expert on Austrian estate law, because there was a will and an interpretation of the will, Adela's will, at the heart of the case. And then I wrote the biographies of the 6 paintings. And I spent about 4 months. I was on sabbatical in Cambridge, England at the time, and Randy Schoenberg had shipped me about 10,000 pages of documents to review, and I went through those systematically, page by page, and wrote the histories of these paintings and how they had been commissioned by Adela bloch-bauer and her husband Ferdinand, where they had been placed in the family home on the Elisabethstrasse, this beautiful city palace in Vienna, how the Nazis had stolen them and their fate subsequently, and then I made recommendations about, you know, who the rightful owners were. I did believe that the bloch-bauer family, their heirs, were the rightful owners, and so my report went in with other material sent to the arbitration committee after the Supreme Court ruled that the case had standing in an American court. The Austrian government decided that they would go into binding arbitration, that rather than have an American court decide the fate of these very important paintings, that they would have an Austrian panel. And so my report went into the panel, and I don't know what the decision-making process was, but presumably they read the report and they read the briefs by Randy Schoenberg and the opposing side. And so, you know, I like to think that I played a role in this. I'm not in the film in any way. It is interesting. There's a scene where Maria Altmann goes into the archives and is finding documents, and she was well capable of that, and of course her native German language and that. But that was kind of the creative license on the part of the filmmakers, that it was the historic experts. And really there was a journalist in Vienna, Hubertus Czernin, who is represented in the film, and he did the path-breaking archival work. He had found the will and other key documents, and in many ways I relied on his path-breaking research as I wrote my report. So I was glad that he was featured, because he was also heroic, and he died way too young, quite tragically. So I was glad that he is, part of this history. He's been, made immortal in a certain way in this history. So I thought the film was good. It's a lot stronger than the film The Monuments Men.